Welcome back to Sun, Sand, and Soul. Josh, Tommy, David, Haber. David, great conversation with Daniela. Pretty much what we thought it was going to be, which was somebody who was young, who was informed, and who's kind of bridging that gap. I mean, that's what you and I talked about in the intro to the show. I mean, how do we get the younger generation of condo owners, current or future, to understand what's going on? And how do we get the current owners to digest this, frankly, large and pretty bitter pill?
I don't know how they're going to swallow the bitter pill easily. I think they're swallowing it, but that's because it's being shoved down their throat by the state legislature. They even tried to balk. They tried to, call foul and get the legislator to slow down. And the Senate president said, that's not happening.
Right.
2025, you better reserve. That's the way it works. You don't like it, too bad.
Yeah.
I think Daniela was very clear in saying that most of the people coming to these events are the older generation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there's an easy answer for how to get the younger generation to interact.
Well, it sounds like she's going to Brickell. I mean, areas that we know are going to be, have more of that. Not to say it's the fix-all, but that's certainly a step.
It is a step, but I also think that we've talked about how technology is going to be the basis upon which young people conduct their business. It is how they conduct their business.
Period. Right.
I mean, they conduct business with Bitcoin.
Right.
I mean,
that horse is out of the barn. Yeah.
Right. So I think that to engage with the younger generation, you're going to have shorter sound bites, as I mentioned at the intro. And I think we're going to have to market to them on social media.
Right.
I think social media is the way they listen.
Yep. Absolutely.
They don't listen to anything but social media.
And can we get those younger people to the community center in Aventura? Will they get in their car and will they drive there? Will they go through those steps to be more well-informed? And I don't know. I don't know the answer. I mean, listen, Danielle and CondoCONNECT have had a great degree of success so far, and I applaud her.
And a lot of it's because it's in person with state legislature
right, exactly.
and county
I was going to say
officials.
there's a draw there.
Right.
So there's a
But
reason.
I don't know that the younger generation is going to buy into that.
Does the younger generation know who Jason Pizzo is? I mean, is it,
probably not.
Are they voters?
They probably don't know who Representative Lopez is or State Senator Bradley. They don't know who these people are.
And maybe that's where the TikTok piece comes in, if you will. And I'm imagining in my head, 30 seconds with Jason Lopez, right? And to say, well,
Jason Pizzo,
sorry about that. Excuse me. 30 seconds with Jason Pizzo to say, what could a state senator say, in 30 seconds that could connect with that and to say, listen, whether you're renting or you're in a condo, or you're planning on buying a single family home at any point in the future, if you're living in South Florida, this affects you. Come on and listen.
Listen to this 30 seconds or a minute, and you'll hear what you need to hear.
Right.
I think that's the only way you're going to get them. I don't think you're going to get them to sit for 2 hours.
Right.
I'm being honest. I don't think they're going to do it.
Right.
If TV is any indication, they don't even want to listen to a 30-minute show.
Right. No, I was going to say the attention span has shrunk. So
I mean, they listen intentionally on streaming services to avoid having to sit through commercials because they don't want to spend the time and they don't want to be annoyed. So they will, watch an episode. I think a 30-minute episode of a TV show is really 18 minutes and 12 minutes of commercials. Well, they're condensing it down and they're watching the 18 minutes and that's all they're watching.
It's called that binging, when you binge the shows just back to back. If you've like on a
I do
Netflix
that
series,
too,
I'm going to say, I think you and I both killed
and
it.
I hate commercials.
Every once in a while.
I guess I'm a little bit like that.
Don't you remember we used to have to
generation?
you had like the couple of minutes you could get up and like run to the kitchen and get something and like, is it back on yet? And that's like,
I'm going to go one better
Those
for
are
you.
gone. Those days are gone.
I had a TV back in the 60s. My parents had a TV that was like a piece of furniture.
Right. The big cabinet.
Big cabinet, big wooden cabinet, thing weighed
big console television, right?
250 pounds. And we used to sit in front of the TV and it only had 3 channels. It had like
just the radio.
2, 4, 7, and 10 maybe. And
right. I grew up with a big clicker, like the clunk. Right.
We took the knob and we just literally would bust off the knob because we were changing it so much. And our parents used to.
You were the remote control at that age.
We were the remote control. And I'll never forget my parents saying, get away from the TV. You're going to go blind.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Because we were sitting 2 feet from the TV. And the only reason was because we were too lazy to have to get up to go turn the channel.
Right. But listen, I think this is the first of probably a lot of important conversations about, again, creating that bridge and to say there's still clearly a lot of work to be done as far as educating people. I thought one of the more interesting things Daniela said, which doesn't surprise me, but it hits at home again that one of the first responses people had when they're seeing the special assessments, the increase in costs, is who stole my money? That's the hair trigger response. And we talked about that.
Where did the money go, or how did this happen?
But that case,
how did this happen?
That case in Brickell that we talked about, and again, without further details to not know what actually did happen, but that's the first place people go. And again, we also live in a very conspiratorial culture right now, where if something goes wrong, it's got to be because something nefarious happened, as opposed to circumstance or a series of events. Because as you and I both know from an insider perspective, there was a perfect storm brewing, and we probably could have seen it. Listen, you and I had lectured condo boards before on waiving reserve. We lectured condo boards before on keeping maintenance rates the same. None of it made sense from a business perspective, but in the absence of an authoritarian, ruling or legislation that said you can't do that anymore because you can't be trusted with the keys, kids. We wound up where we are.
That sounds like a very interesting end note.
It does sound like an interesting end note, and on that, we will end. Thank you again for joining us on Sunset and Sold. I'm Josh Tomey, David Haber. Join us as always on all your favorite social media and streaming platforms, including Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook,
and X,
alongside Apple Music, Spotify, etc. Join us again shortly. We've got another great episode.
What do we have next?
We're gonna keep a little mystery to it, but we've got another developer coming in, and somebody that I think people will be very interested in hearing from, who has been a big part of pacing this market.
I really want to thank you for buying me a Pagani automobile.
You are more than welcome, and I hope you are driving it safely and soundly through the streets of Miami.
I don't know that I would drive it anywhere. If I owned a Pagani, I don't think I would do anything but put it in a glass box.
Well, if you see David Haber in his Pagani, please beep and wave hello to him. In the meantime, again, Sunset and Sold, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.